On the same topic, the current housing crisis creates an immediate threat to neighborhoods and to our financial viability. What do you believe City Council should do to address the crisis that can transform our vacant properties into an asset?
Well, it depends on your definition of asset. I don't see an asset as taking down the houses. Empty lots, wholesale empty lots, like we saw through the years in Cleveland, is not a good thing for Cleveland Heights. Returning those homes in a better way to the marketplace, to home buyers, is a much more viable solution. So actually, we have lots of programs in place. We bought 28 houses for $1 a piece from HUD, and we are encouraging nonprofits to take those houses, renovate them, and get them back on the market with homeowners. That's our big caveat. They have to be homeowners. We do have lots of programs to help renovate homes for new buyers, for loans for commercial people who want to start a new business. We have a lot of storefront commercial loans and grants, so that we need to fill up both the storefronts and the houses. The two of them working together is really a critical issue. You can't solve our financial issues with only facing one or the other. It has to be both. And the housing is, of course, in some, feels like the biggest issue because there's so many empty houses. On the other hand, we've been able to secure them in a better way. We've changed how some of the neighborhoods are being policed and how they're being looked at, so that it doesn't feel as uncomfortable as it might. And houses are really beginning to sell. They're selling to investors. Some of them are better investors than others, and we have instituted a whole range of very stringent programs to sit on landlords and make sure that what they're doing is an asset and not a deficit for the community. And in fact, Monday night we had a retreat, our council, on biggest issue that we're facing is our quality of life issues, and some of that results from empty houses, renters that may not understand that they're living in a community where people care about the community. And we spent 4 hours talking about what are we going to do and how are we going to do that and what's legal and what is not legal, even talking about things like parental responsibility. I have a personal feeling that if you're hitting your pocketbook, you may end up being a little more responsible for your children if you are not apt to be so responsible for your children. And so consequently, we're doing many things that will have some consequences financially. And then we'll encourage people that if they can't pay attention to their children or can't pay attention to their homes as renters, it's mostly renters actually, and landlords who have not chosen their renters very well, that they'll go someplace else. It's too expensive to stay here. Does it cost anything if you behave? But if you don't behave, it'll cost you. So we're trying that tactic stringently because it's one of the big issues in our city. And one house can undo a whole neighborhood. So we're paying attention.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Westman. I live on Englewood Road. I was born here, went away, and my husband got into case law school, and I said the only place we can look to buy a house is Cleveland Heights, so I'm back. Didn't think I'd be back, but it has this magnet
Englewood
here.
with an E or an I? Which one?
With an E, not the I.
Okay.
I love my little street, though. I want to talk to you about collaboration. We talked a little bit about it with the school board, but there are limits to what city government can do by itself. Cleveland Heights has a wonderful history of community groups identifying problems and initiating projects to address them. Please talk about your views of collaboration and any additional ways you would like to see the city work with all segments of our community, including individuals, neighborhood groups, nonprofits, and businesses to strengthen our city.
That's an interesting question. There are a lot of groups that have ideas and want to participate in the city in a whole variety of ways. And actually, I think we've been rather welcoming. We start in, if you look at how we're set up, all of our boards and commissions are filled with neighbors. They are residents. They are not council people. And there's no staff on any of our boards and commissions. The staffs and a council person may show up, but the decisions that are made by residents. And it is one way to sort of bring in people to get to know and participate with the city in a whole range of ways. And we have lots of boards and commissions, the Rec Board, BZA, that's the Board of Zoning Appeals, where you have to be an architect for 10 years or more, and Planning Commission, and there's a whole range of boards and commissions, Commission on Aging, so that people can participate in a structured way. And then you have those unstructured kinds of groups. For example, when I said something about the art, the Heights Arts Collaborative. Heights Arts Collaborative asked us, I love this, that what did we think about doing the meters and the lampposts? And because it's our property that they have put these things on. We said, go be our guest. We're happy to have you do it. And oh my, it's fabulous. A whole group wanted to do the Boys and Girls Club. And actually, they got a lot of friction from council. We put in a lot of rules about what had to happen with the Boys and Girls Club because of where it was, because we wanted it to support Cleveland Heights children and not children in general from other cities. And although one could look at the greater good if we were going to support them, and in fact we do to some extent, we want to support our children. And we felt real strongly about that, and there was some friction, but in the end, it's quite a wonderful organization because it was started by residents and by groups of people who really wanted something to happen. So that that's a great example, actually, the Boys and Girls Club, and they just had a fundraiser this spring that was amazing, that was put together by some board members of the Boys and Girls Club, and almost every restaurant in town came and provided the food, and hundreds of people came, and they made a lot of money, and I think almost all of council participated and went. It was fantastic. Friends of Kane Park likes to have programs in Kane Park. I guess the point is that if there are some people who have an idea that they would like something to happen, whether it's concrete like art, and let me tell you, we've really done very well because of the Heights Arts Collaborative. We have public art everywhere, and a piece just came down, which actually I noticed today, and it made me sad, where the totem poles and Severance Circle, they're gone, and I was so sad to see that happen because they were fabulous. But we have murals all over the place, and look at Coventry with the wonderful art and the ironwork and on the benches, and some of it we do contribute to some extent. A little group had an idea that there was a fountain at Severance. It was tucked away at a corner, and the fountain needed to be saved, the group felt. But they needed some money to move the fountain, and where would the fountain be moved? And as it turned out, it's moved to the front of City Hall. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's quite nice. And so they didn't have anybody, and so we fronted the money, and little by little, it's really by little, we get paid back. And we may not totally get paid back, but it's quite an asset, and it was because some people really cared. Even the whole thing about recycling, it was started by a single person some years ago. And I talk a lot about recycling, and my colleagues make jokes because I always talk about recycling and how we should do it and how we could do it better. But it was really started by one person. His name was Norm Robbins. He was a professor at Case. And he saw the idea of recycling a long time ago and was really tenacious is a nice word about it. But actually, it was because of him that we have evolved into being one of the best recycling cities around. So that I think if a group has a good idea, we're pretty open, and it does take some pressure off of city council to do everything. Government can't do everything. There's lots of organizations that have sprung up, and we're pretty supportive of most of them. So being supportive is as good as you could get, I think.